Tim, just put your name in the comments and I'll call on you. We'll start with David.
Coach, we were just talking to Coach Lamonis and now talking to you. It's been about 11 months since y'all put a batting order together. What's it feel like to spend these next couple of days thinking, okay, who are we going to hit our first game?
It feels great. It's been a long time. We've been waiting so long, and I know everybody, ended up dealing with the shutdown, but we didn't do well with not doing much for almost a year. But the boys are back, and just being on the field has been great. And now we're getting close and trying to figure out what this team's going to look like. But as we work through lineups and we talk about things like that, everybody seems to be getting better, and so it's a positive, obviously. And we're going to keep trying to make them better and see who's going to be out there opening night. But we have a lot of great options.
So I guess the last 11 months, you yourself have gone through your mind. Who would I be batting today if I was playing this team? Who we got? Who's hot?
You think about it a lot. There's a lot of downtime, and you're thinking about this team nonstop. But like I said, the good thing is there's a lot of really good options, and you're facing a righty, you're facing a lefty. You want to be a little more defensive. You want to play for a little bit more juice. There's a lot of options there. It could be speed. So we do. We kind of go around and around and around. And I think a lot of times it's all depends on the matchup and who you're playing and who's on the bump and things like that.
Go to Robbie.
Hey Jake, last year was supposed to be a big breakthrough season for Josh Hatcher in a year that he was really going to improve his draft stock, and then all the things happened that happened. How has he attacked this offseason, and what have you seen from him that might look different or better than last year when he was going into that draft eligible season?
Yeah, Hatch kind of has picked up right where he left off, and I could see that he was starting to turn the corner last year before everything was shut down. Um, he's super talented. Most of it was pretty much a part of the maturity process for him as a hitter and having an approach and things like that. But he looks really good. He's a special talent, special kid. He's one of our leaders. There's a lot of stuff he can do on the baseball field. He can really run. He can really defend. He can play in several different spots. But now he's more in that veteran leadership role and really taking pride and taking the young guys under his wing and telling them this is how we play the game of baseball here at Mississippi State. So I think the world of him. He's got a very high ceiling, and I think he's going to do well for us this year.
A little follow up on that. I mean, we saw some of that raw power from him his freshman year right away. And he came in and flashed that against Southern Miss, and then kind of tailed off a little bit. It looked like he kind of hit a wall. Where do you feel like his ceiling is? How much better do you feel like he can get, and what are some things that you feel like he can improve on this season as he gets ready to move on
Well,
possibly?
even when Hatch first got here, he was kind of skinny, but wiry, strong, had a very efficient swing that created leverage and bat speed and had the potential to really drive balls. So now he's probably in a little bit better position to hit. He's a lot more physical. So now you're seeing a more efficient path, a more bat speed. He was really good to center the other way when he first got here. He didn't pull the ball as well as he wanted to. So now he's really progressed as a hitter when it comes to the pull side of the field and tapping into some more of that power that way. So I don't like to put a lot of numbers and expectations on the boys. I don't think that's fair in this league. It's really challenging, but I can tell you that he's really improved into a special all around player, and I feel like he's really turned the corner to be one of our guys. He's gonna go out there and go about the right way, and I think he'll do well for us.
Go to Joel.
Hey, Coach Gautreau. Obviously, Cameron James, a guy we saw some flashes from last year a little bit before things got shut down, and now moving him back to, I guess, what I think was his natural position coming in at shortstop, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, from an offensive standpoint, just how big do you anticipate him being? I know nobody can replace Foscue Westberg, but it kind of seems like Cameron's going to play a little more of a centerpiece of this team this year, being at short and possibly being somewhere near the middle of the order and things. Just kind of where do you see him and what's his ceiling offensively?
He's been really good for us across the board. He is a true shortstop, and so he's back in his natural position. He's been playing well there. The bat is really starting to come. I thought just last year, from the first day he got here to where we were during the season, he had improved. But the jump from Texas Tech and Biloxi to today, it's been a pretty big difference, And so I think if he just continues to do what he's been doing in regards to his work and preparing, he's got a chance to be a special player as well. We talk a lot about going into 2019, the steps or the jumps that Foscue and Westberg made from their freshman to sophomore year, and those jumps for them helped us as a team tremendously. So when you're looking at the players and the makeup and the work ethic and things like that, you kind of look at it the same way. Cam should be able to make a nice jump, and I don't know what that jump's going to be. It may be better, it may be almost as good, who knows? But as long as he keeps getting better, he's an exciting player for us for sure, and should be in the middle of the lineup somewhere.
Go to Ben.
Jake, I think I asked you about this at Media Day last year, which feels like 10 years ago. But just in terms of, balancing draft stuff, obviously you were a first-round pick yourself, and guys have gone through that kind of thing. Just with the shortened draft and guys like Hatch and Rowdy and Tanner, who probably would have gone through that and are back now again this year. Just what was it like kind of working through that with those guys during that time and in the off season and just what was that process kind of like?
The draft can be challenging. No matter when it is or what's going on, at the end of the day, these guys are putting work in and they're trying to be better and they're trying to help us win ball games. And in the middle of that, they're also trying to better themselves and start a professional career. So going through it back in the day as a young kid, it can be very stressful, whether you think you may go really high or you think you're going to get taken decent, or maybe I don't get taken at all. There's all sorts of ways to look at this thing. But going through it, my piece is you have to acknowledge it, and we have to acknowledge that it's there and it's a real thing. If you say don't worry about it, that's not realistic, because there's no way to not think about it. That thing is it's pretty loud in regards to articles, all sorts of things that are talking about this player and the possibility of him being taken in a certain part of the draft. So just they have to know, they know that I'm there for them. They know that we're going to acknowledge it and we're going to talk about it. And I like to acknowledge it and talk about it early and give them freedom to come to me if they need me. But for the most part, when we acknowledge it early, we kind of have a plan in place of how we're going to attack each and every day and not so much focus on the draft. If you focus on the draft, things can get sideways really quick. But if you focus on being the best you can be every day and helping your team win and enjoying your time in Mississippi State, usually the natural talent just takes over and you get taken well. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And as a coach, you have to be able to pick your spots to know when to get in there and talk to them about it, and just educate them on the whole process, if that makes any sense.
Quick kind of aside, I know your boys had Darth Vader in Omaha a couple of years ago. Have they got anything planned now for this year yet? Or
we're not there yet. But they're excited to be back in the ballpark, that's for sure. It's a special piece of having them with me, knowing they're over my right shoulder every game, and all of it's pretty special as a dad here. So nothing yet. We'll see how this season goes and see what the run looks like late, and we'll figure out something then.
Go to Robbie.
On the same topic of the draft, Jake, from a recruiting standpoint, and you as a big time recruiter, there's been so many guys in the past that Mississippi State hasn't been able to get to school. When you look at guys like Corey Dickerson and Billy Hamilton, Austin Riley, you've been able to put a little bit of a dent in that, especially this year. I know it's different circumstances, but how have you seen the progress in getting some of that talent to come to campus over the last couple of years? Guys that would normally, go in the first 10 rounds deciding to come to school. Have you seen some progress in that regard?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say there's any kind of a special formula or any kind of a plan in place. I think you have to be real with each player and their families. The fact that we have all been doing this a long time, some of us went through it at a certain point. We can talk about life experiences, and all you're trying to do is be real and be honest and be there for the families when they're going through that piece. But everybody has their own certain way in which they get here. JT Ginn was obviously a very, very special player. He had his own route into why he showed and reasons and his own wants. He really wanted to be here, and and it worked out well for him. The young group we have on campus right now, their situation is a little bit different. It was a funky, unique year to say the least. We all know why a lot of those guys didn't get their names called, but they're here, and so no matter how they get here, you just try to be there for them and be honest and educate them in the process. And sometimes life experiences, depending on playing career after college or working as an advisor, things like that. I think as long as the families trust you and know that you're really trying to give good, honest information, you paint the picture of the good and bad of both sides, and really, we don't even get into the bad too much. It's all about what Mississippi State can do for each player and their family for the most part. But you have a pretty good idea of where each player and family sits come draft time. You kind of know what they're thinking. And fortunately, we're all at Mississippi State, and it's a pretty special place. So everybody wants to come here for a little while, and the more and more guys that show up and come here, and the more and more development that takes place, and the more we're on TV in Omaha and things like that, it just makes the next kid and family want to come even more. So just trying to do things the right way and be real and help these guys get better.
Back to David.
Coach, looking at the scrimmage stats from over the weekend, the ball seemed to be jumping out a little bit more than maybe would have been expected. Do you see this team having the potential for power, particularly in the middle of the order?
Potential for power, yeah. That question gets asked a lot, and this may sound crazy because I'm the hitting coach. The power piece, it doesn't consume me too much. I think at the end of the year, you'll look up and most people will probably say, oh, wow, that guy hit a few more than I thought, but I think we can do it. I also know that if you try to do it or if you talk about it all the time, it doesn't work. A lot of our home runs, it's just a reaction. We have a good plan at the plate. We're looking for a certain pitch, and we put a good, nice, simple swing on it, and that's when the ball jumps. But my piece throughout this whole deal, the whole formula, the whole system is being a good offense, being a great offense, actually, being a great offense. And it's hits, it's doubles, it's runs scored, it's stealing bases, it's our two-strike fight, just grinding out starting pitchers and getting in the bullpen. And the more and more you do that, and the more at-bats you get, the more runs you score, the more times you get in the pen, I feel like at the end of the year, you end up looking back and being pretty satisfied with the offensive production. Some years you may have more home runs, but I try not to live there. I love them. I love the homers. I hope we hit a lot of them, but I'm not too worried about it.
Also, looking at it, jumping right into it with a big challenge the first weekend, then a good team in Tulane coming in the next weekend. What's the balancing act between getting guys swings in real games to learn what they are before SEC season and just having to play your best to beat really good teams?
Yeah. Well, the good thing is we're facing one of the better probably pitching staffs in the country here every day, our own guys, and so you're seeing a real competition for the guy on the bump and the guy in the box, but it's good stuff. It's the stuff that we're going to see all year long. So in regards to finding enough of at-bats, that can be tricky for each guy, right? You want to make sure everybody's getting the at-bats that they need to be ready. But in regards to the quality of competition that they're facing every day in our inter squads, it's what we're going to see during the year. So I feel good about that piece. Facing our best guys every day is only going to make us better. I don't care if we're having success or if there's failure, it's going to make us better in the end. And then opening day in Arlington against the Longhorns, I mean, you can look at your schedule all sorts of different ways, but the old coach speak, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I like being challenged right out of the chute. You don't know how it's going to go, but you're going to go into every game and one game at a time and try to take care of business and play our ball game. But the lights haven't come on yet, and we haven't been on the field with this group yet, but I know we like our group. It's a talented group, but there's a lot more to it than that. You have to play as a team. You have to play clean baseball and play the Mississippi State way. But I think if we focus on that, and that's kind of the message all year, every year from Coach Lim is we focus on playing our game and going about it the way we go about it. We usually feel pretty good going into whoever it is we may be playing on that given day, So Tulane, my alma mater, comes in week 2, so I'll be excited about that. Those guys are my friends, and they have a good team, so that'll be cool.
Go to Ben.
Jake, I think kind of, I guess for you personally, like those draft guys, obviously you're a guy that's spent some time at Tulane and here now for a couple of years. And I think a lot of people see as a future head coach. Just what has your time at Mississippi State done for you as a coach, and how has that, helped you and what you're doing, and how have you kind of progressed in these 3 years, do you feel like?
Probably changed my life, to be honest with you. It really has. Just in general, how special this place is and how fortunate we all are to be here. But this is a pretty special coaching staff, and it's a very tight-knit group. There's no egos, and Coach Lim, besides being one of my best friends, he's my boss too, but I'm still trying to learn every day. I think somebody that's in the position that I'm in as an assistant, you have an idea of how you want to go about your piece of the puzzle, the recruiting piece, and a hitting coach and an infield coach and things like that. But if you ever want to be a head coach, there's a lot that goes into it outside of being on the field or being in the batting cage. He's the CEO of the program besides being the head coach. And so there's a lot of stuff that he has to do every single day that nobody has any idea of or ever even thinks of. But he's on the field. He's great. He's great with the kids, but the CEO piece, everything that goes into it outside of player development, things like that, he's one of the best. And so I'm learning from one of the best every single day. In regards to being a head coach, it's not coach speak or anything like that. I really don't live in that world. It's the best place in the country for college baseball here. My family loves it here. All is great here, and so my head coach in college, Rick Jones, and I ended up coaching for him a long time ago at Tulane. He said, just kind of embrace yourself, bury yourself in making the school that you're at the best that it can be every day, and so and good things will happen. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I try not to live in tomorrow. I try to live here today, and we love it here, and we don't have any plans of leaving anytime soon. So that's where I'm at.
And kind of to that, I mean, just obviously you guys have kept this whole staff together for your time here for the most part. And I guess just what's that been like, and how much does that help you having the continuity on staff that you guys have had?
It's huge, like a bunch of brothers, and the no egos piece is about as important as it gets, I think. All great baseball guys, but more importantly, really good people that really care for the kids. And when you have a group of players that are together for a long time, or you have a coaching staff that stays together for a long time, that's how culture is created, and to be able to maintain that culture and everybody's on the same page, we're all going in the same direction. It's really important. And so when I'm talking about recruiting, or when I'm talking to recruits about the whole piece here, that's a really big piece of it is, hey, it's Mississippi State sells itself. We all know that. And we've been doing well here lately, but at the end of the day, to kids and families, we know this place is special, but you have to realize the people that you're going to be surrounded by. And the most important out of all of it is that you're surrounded by good people that are also good baseball guys that'll help you, but I don't, if you don't have good people, it can be challenging.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys. Thank you. See you soon.